What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the fourth episode of a series where we're looking at the ELC covers. And are they better than the originals or are they way worse? And we have a panel of people to help determine this question with us that is festering on our minds today. And so I'll throw it to first this guy to my right, and you all can introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into this ELC cover review.
Hey everyone, my name is Liam, username Cspyder. I like Star Wars.
That's pretty cool. So do I. So we have something in common, it seems.
What a coincidence.
How about you guys? You guys like Star Wars too?
Sometimes.
Chat, do you like Star Wars? Are you watching this channel because you like Star Wars? Well, let us know. Let us know in the comments.
We'll need to get a poll up on this.
Right. Yeah. So my name is Scott. I'm the sometimes co-host, panelist, guest on the Comlink Chatter podcast, Brady's channel that way. Check him out. I'm also sometimes a contributor to the expandeduniverse.com. I wrote a couple articles there. Not very often, but from time to time. I do have my own channel, but I don't post videos very often.
I'm waiting for this series delving into the romance of, Winter and, Akbar.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Legends Con 2 so I can ask Kevin J. Anderson specifically because I figure he knows most about that than anyone else. So he can speak to that,
True.
straight from the horse's mouth, if you will.
So I expect a full interview series to commence sometime around March of this upcoming year.
Yeah, and speaking of interspecies relationships, I think there's some of that in some of these covers as well. At least references to them, other species, not just fish.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
All right. So my name is Brady. My channel is Fine Editions, and I have a podcast, the Comlink Chatter podcast, and that's where we review stories from the expanded universe. Right now, we're focusing on the comic books, and though I didn't start the show with going panel by panel through each comic book, it's kind of developed that way. And so, what's that?
The most in-depth Star Wars podcast you can imagine.
I think there's moments where people are like, what is that species back there in the fifth panel?
Yep.
It is full-on analysis.
Yep. And so right now, my wife and I are expecting to have our child within whenever. It's coming up soon. So I've kind of taken YouTube, set it to the side right now. And eventually I'll have some more content. We'll do Comlink Chatter podcast sometime. I think the next one we're doing is X-Wing Phantom Affair. So read up if you want to experience that. Not much else I've got. Thank you so much for letting me be on here.
Absolutely. Always glad to have you guys. And always an honor when I'm able to come on the Comlink Chatter podcast. Look at a panel for 40 minutes. It's always a fun time.
Make so many memes from it.
Yeah, Sam is pretty strong in that department.
Mm-hmm.
But I expect there will be a new co-host when your next child is born. You will have a new co-host for the series.
Right here. I'll have them put her in a high chair right here.
Absolutely. That sounds great. So we've got the covers up as some slides here, and we're on waves 9 and 10 today. So this is going to be six covers today. I think we're like 3 waves behind, but we will catch up at some point. So maybe you'll see us again in a couple months when we talk about like waves 11 and 12. And by that time, there will be a 13, and they'll be reprinting Ruins of Dantooine probably. So this is the first slide. This is wave 9, and this is X-Wing Wraith Squadron, which is book 5 of X-Wing, but the first of the Aaron Alston X-Wing novels. Stackpole did the first 4, and the first 4 were all published in the ELC wave, right?
Yes.
They were, okay.
The first 4, yes.
Yes, by Stackpole. So they took a break, and I didn't know if we were actually going to finish out the run because they skip like 2 or 3 waves, I believe. But what was interesting about the X-wing ELC covers for Stackpoles is they all followed like a pattern. They all had a kind of similar vibe, and it seems like they're going to do the same thing with Alston's run as well. So, of course, we've got a classic cover here on the left. All of that art for the X-wing series is pretty iconic, I'd say. It's pretty good. It displays always dogfights in space with all of the ships and stuff like that. So it's entertaining. There's a lot going on, I think, in those covers. Now, I'm not a huge space battles guy. I'm more of a characters guy. So I always liked X-wing when it's break time or when there's just conversations going on between characters. That's when it was strongest for me. I'd kind of zone out in the dogfights. So what the cover is depicting is not my favorite part of the X-wing series. So I guess the only credit I can really give to the ELC here is that I care more about the characters. So a character-focused cover kind of summarizes what I'm more interested in the X-wing books. But a cover does not a book make, I suppose. And going based off of this, probably the original cover is a bit better. But I will say for the ELC cover, it's not egregiously bad. It could have been worse. And I do kind of like the design. I dig it a little bit. The ship streaking across the characters. I don't know. I'd say that the original cover's better. Is it one of the best covers in the EU? I wouldn't say so, but it's good. The ELC, is it the worst ELC cover? No. Is it the best ELC cover? Probably not, but it's more towards that end as far as ELC covers go. So that's my yapping done. So I'll toss it down to Liam for his thoughts on these covers.
I like how for this new set they're a lot more brighter, the covers, I noticed. In the Stackpole ones, they kind of had that neon color going, but like it was more of a darker background. This one is just like really bright yellow, and it's got those nice colors to complement it. I really like it. I think the ELC cover is better than the original. Well, sort of, because I do like. I don't like super duper bright colors in your face, but I think for this one it works really nicely. And I agree with you on the characters thing. I like to see characters on the covers, and so I think I like that just a little bit better than just some X-wings. I think all of the original X-wing covers are great. I'd give all of those like probably 8 or 9 out of 10s for cover art. But I just think these are great, and it still does have X-wings in the ELC cover too.
That's true.
The only thing that's kind of goofy is I've remind me the character's name to the right there, but his
Jasmine Akbar.
Yeah. She's making a almost memeable face.
Yeah. I've still not read the X-wing books yet. I don't know all the characters' names, but it's really funny. I love the face. But yeah, I pretty much agree with you as far as the characters things go. I like that for covers better than just ships. So I like the ELC better.
Okay. So a little bit of insight to why they have the certain color schemes for these. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but Del Rey recently released a book series called The Alphabet Squadron, and that is in the new canon. And so the design of the cover is almost identical to those ones. And so
a good point. I didn't even notice that.
So especially the first one. The first one's a yellow with kind of purple looking things. I actually like these covers more than the Rogue Squadron reprints for the Essential Legends collection because it kind of focuses on more of the characters. I do think that like the description for the Rogue Squadron series is really just Top Gun in space. And so the original cover having all of those depictions of the dog fights and the events that actually take place in the book, they really represent that. Where I also think a very important thing to the series is the characters, like Brendan, you were saying. And so it's kind of a back and forth, I'd say. Um, I'd say this is probably a little bit better than just passable, but I wouldn't go to say that it's better than the original. So maybe in the middle there. There was another thing I was going to say. Another thing. Some complaints that I've heard about the X-Wing books is that people are more, I guess, they like to see the visuals for the dogfights, and they like to see those different things, which those things are important and they're great in the stories. However, the characters are more, I guess, more, they stand out more, it being a novel, and you get to be in their heads and different things like that. I have not read the Wraith Squadron books, so they could be totally different than Rogue Squadron, but I wish that they had done character covers for the Rogue Squadron books. But yeah, that's kind of all I got to say about that.
Yeah, it's hard to beat Paul Yule's artwork here. I think when reading the X-Wing series, one of the important features, because there's a lot of dogfights, there's a lot of space battles, is to actually have something of a basis to visualize those battles. And we've all seen the films, but some of the battles take place on asteroids, like you see here. Sometimes they'll be above Coruscant. Sometimes they'll be on a secret New Republic base, all over the place. So I think this artwork and the really all of the original artwork had scenes from the original books, and part of the fun was figuring out what scene that was, or getting to the part of the book with the scene that the cover is depicting. So all that said, it's very hard to beat the original covers. I think with the new ones, stylistically, it's very different. It's not a realistic rendering of either Wedge or Jasmine here. It's interesting, by the way, they seem to use Dennis Lawson, I think, here as Wedge, and not the other actor that was
not
Wedge.
the other Wedge. Yeah.
In probably keeping with the theme of, I think he was in one of the sequel movies, so I guess that's why they used him here
Briefly.
I think it's a good picture of him. I just don't know stylistically, it's hard to compare to a live action rendering that you would expect to see.
I'd say that it looks recognizable as Wedge, almost. It looks enough like him.
I'm not saying it's not recognizable, but it's sort of a drawing. It's not a realistic rendering. If you were to visualize this in live action, I don't think you would look like that, especially with the weird yellow background. So I think that leaves a little bit to be desired.
Why is his face yellow? I just noticed that.
Right.
In the Alphabet Squadron books, their faces are like that.
Oh.
It looks like a complete copy of it.
As Brady said, it is very similar to the Alphabet Squadron books, which I'm ashamed to say I actually own those. I haven't read them, but I do own them, and they are very similar. But I think it just leaves, it's lacking inspiration. I think when I want to read an X-Wing book, I would definitely prefer the old cover, despite the fact that I'm used to it and it's iconic for me. I think just if you compare the two, there's really no there's no contest between them. So as far as a rating on the new cover, I don't think it's among the worst of the new ELC covers, but I don't think it's even as good as the Rogue Squadron depictions. Like we got Yeast and AI Sard, and we're not really used to seeing some of those characters. I think that was better. I kind of can visually imagine what Jasmine Akbar looks like. I think we all can imagine what a Mon Calamari would look like, but I don't know. I think it's just lacking inspiration overall. I don't think
I
it's
don't
among
think
the
it's
worst.
obvious that it's a female Mon Calamari based off of this cover.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that because I've not read the books. I just assumed that was Admiral Akbar.
That would be a bit awkward if they were that obvious about it. But
well, there is the question of Mon Calamari's anatomy that TCW brings up because it contradicted, but I won't go there right now. But I think we have gotten Jasmine Akbar depicted before this, and she was more obviously feminine in the art I'd seen previously.
In Star Wars Insider or Star Wars Gamer, I think.
Yeah,
was
one of
the
those
drawings.
magazines had
Right.
some drawings of the pilots, and she was more, I think, female Mon Calamari than looking like Akbar, but she's clearly surprised by whatever's just off camera. It's probably Waru. I mean, that's why it's so yellow,
Oh
right?
my goodness.
they're in Waru. That's where the
They're
legend
in
continuity
Waru.
is in.
That makes sense. Waru ate the expanded universe, and it's just all trapped in the stasis of Waru for now.
That's why the art looks weird.
What if they put a wig on Jasmine Akbar just to make her look more feminine? I'm throwing it out there. They could do that.
What? Imagine Wedge's hair right there on Jasmine Akbar.
Speaking of Wedge, I've got that.
Nice.
I don't know. It might look like it.
Yeah, that
You guys
actually
bring
looks
up a lot of
like the art there.
really great points. I think I'm gonna change. Walk back what I said. I don't think it's better now. Given a lot of the stuff you guys have brought up, I don't think it's worse necessarily, but I don't really know where to rank this now. I'm kind of stuck. I don't know. I guess I'll just. It's definitely not the worst DLC cover. But I'm definitely reconsidering it being better now.
As Harry
with
says,
a lot of the stuff you guys have brought up.
It is kind of giving propaganda poster vibes a little bit, which is kind of interesting.
I
like
can see that, yeah.
The Imperial ones in what were those in? Were those Insider or were those Wizards of the Coast? I can't remember, but they had old Jedi on like posters or like come join the Imperial Army. I think there's been multiple renditions of that throughout the EU, but some of the later ones are kind of giving me a similar vibe a little bit.
There was a whole propaganda book of artwork that came out for the new canon. So maybe they're used to doing that style now. Yeah.
Moving on to the next in Wave 9. Who wants to take this first? I hate the new cover so much.
I do have a question. So I've not read Order 66.
Right.
Is there a moment in the book that this resembles?
It's been a long time since I read this book, but I do not remember this depiction here in the book. I don't remember anything like that.
Covers,
in fact,
for these ones I've noticed do not depict anything in the books. Like there was one when we did one of the earlier waves where they were in the forest, but that's not.
Yeah, that was not in the book. Yeah,
I think it's a similar case here.
Was that 000 or hard contact? That was hard contact.
Hard contact.
Yeah.
Hard contact.
That was not a scene in the book. 000 was not a scene in the book. True Colors, I think, was actually a scene in the book, but it was a bad cover. This one, why does his arm look like that? This to me seems clearly like AI.
It looks like their arms are like smushed together, and it's like a mirror almost with their arms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like their arms are infused together.
Their arms, like it looks like they're cut off at the right here, and they're touching.
It does look like that. Then why is his elbow like that? It's just so weird. And I get armor, but look at the visual on the left. His arms look like arms, you know?
The trooper on the right, his arm is like attached to his leg. Like his arm and his leg are the same thing on the left side. of the right troopers.
Oh
if
wow,
you
I
see what
can't
mean.
discern where one ends and one begins.
Yeah, it's
The
I don't
helmet
know
looks
what's going on
morphed
with that.
together as well with his hand.
Why is he
yeah.
holding his helmet? Who would hold their helmet like that?
right?
How can you hold a helmet like that?
I think they were trying to go for to tie into the Bad Batch because it's the same color scheme. The armor looks somewhat similar to it, not as much like a commando armor, but like the Bad Batch armor. If you guys have seen the show,
Yeah. And that's the Imperial, the Empire's logo on the ground, right?
yes.
This
It's a
book,
weird place to have the logo. Just
and
randomly on the ground.
why? Because the timeline of this book, it ends with Order 66. Order 66 is in the latter half of this book, from what I recall. Like it ends with the actual Order 66. See, because when I was reading this book, I was like, oh, an Order 66 book. I'm so excited about this. And then it was not an Order 66 novel at all. I'm not a big fan of this book. The cover on the left, is it a good cover? I mean, it's got that, like, I feel like it's trying to be like an edgy, like 2000s action movie poster a little bit, like with the
It
fonts
actually
being
looks
used.
pretty
But
decent.
I kind of dig it in
It
a
looks
way.
It looks like a video game tie-in novel.
It's really cool.
That too.
Yeah.
What it is.
Love the
Yep.
fonts.
Yeah. It looks like what it is.
It's not my favorite in the EU for covers, but it's good, I guess. The one on the right, I just can't with it. I just can't. It's not a scene from the book. Why is the Imperial logo there? The colors are just wrong. They look wrong. I think it's AI. Like, I don't want to be throwing accusations out there. I guess I kind of am, but it just doesn't look like a human created
That's
it.
definitely AI.
It just I don't know. That for me is maybe one of the. It's not even visually appealing. I feel like if you saw that on a shelf, why would you want to pick that book up? Like, what would draw you to it? I don't understand the appeal. Maybe I'm not artistic enough to like see what's really good about it, but I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's one of the worst for ELC. What about y'all?
Yeah, it doesn't inspire any
I agree.
thoughts of an action scene or at all, not at all what you would expect from Order 66. And there's just so many more opportunities of battle scenes from Order 66. You could take your pick of all the planets, where it occurred on. And to choose this of all things is just disappointing. I don't think the old cover is very good to begin with. So
yeah.
It's not really that big of a step down, but it is a step down in my opinion.
I really wonder what's happening in this scene. What are they talking about? It must be something so important. Their hands are fused together. That's not something you usually do very often.
It's like we're more than brothers.
I guess we can write whole fan fictions based on this cover.
If there's an added epilogue with this scene in it, and that's the context of it, I would buy it. But honestly,
giving them like some sort of motivational speech.
I wish there was an option. Both of them are bad.
Yeah, the new artwork almost looks like it's something out of the Pablo Hidalgo book, the Essential Reader's Companion. One of those pictures that's inside the book that I don't know if it must be a scene from the book. It must be a scene from the book because they wouldn't do that in any other way unless it's completely AI generated. But
I don't remember that scene, and it would have been at the very end.
Yeah, it's probably a very minor scene of.
Did they describe the linking of arms in the book too?
I mean, the characters care about each other, and there are some one-on-one conversations between Darman's the name of the main character, and between some of his other officers. I really liked a lot of the characters in it. I even liked the Jedi romance in this series. I did not like this book because it's not a very good Order 66 book, but I just think the fact that the Imperial logo's there is just throwing me way off because I just don't think there's time for the Imperial logo to be down, unless they had like same day installing. Like on the day of Order 66, they just immediately had all their guys come in and install the logo like immediately, like same day delivery or some kind of service like that. But I don't
I can
know.
believe Palpatine would be up to something like that. I mean,
I mean,
he wants
did
to get
have
this
it.
place redecorated as soon as possible. It's his new kingdom now.
They had that design under the reconstruction surgery table for Darth Vader, but it wasn't as prominent.
Okay.
But
Okay, so
then
so
again,
maybe.
it looks very similar to the Republic logo, so I might
True,
be
that's true.
misremembering it. But they had a chance to make something even better. The only thing I think they did better with this is the marketing of what it is. Because the original one, they've got it at the top, Republic Commando novel, little bitty tiny. Everything else, Star Wars, Order 66. Is this
True.
the novelization of Revenge of the Sith? Whatever it is. The new one says book 4. You have to read 1 through 3 to read this one. So only
Yeah,
good things.
that's true. Less people will probably be as like, what am I reading right now?
Right.
Because I started this book before I read books 1 to 3 of Republic Commando, and I was lost. I was like, where is the Jedi killing right now? When I started the book, I was hungering for some Jedi killing,
Yeah,
as you do.
It's funny that Order 66 didn't occur till the end, because the first 3 books in the series are part of the Clone Wars multimedia project.
Right.
Yeah.
Specifically, and this one, there's no indication of, at least on the old cover, that it's part of it. I know
That's true.
Labyrinth of Evil isn't, and I think this would probably take a place around that time, maybe even after that. So maybe that's why, but it's just kind of odd.
It's kind of strange. We have some comments to catch up on. La Biblioteca Sith says that he prefers, or she prefers, the original covers. Nice. So it sounds like Christian might prefer some of the ELC ones. We're getting a lot of not liking the new cover. It looks pretty mid. Neither look great. So we're seeing a lot of, I think, similar opinions in the chat. You would think the covers would be easy to nail. Yes, I know. All you have to do, if it says Order 66, have like clones shooting Jedi deflecting lasers. Like you could have. Well, maybe that faults with the book then as well. But you could have had so many more interesting depictions other than soldier holds gun or man puts his hand on the other's shoulder, and does something that would break any human's elbow. With his own, because I don't know. Yeah, we were seeing some probably AI. It says Harry, copy pasted. Yeah, took a snapshot of it closer up, and it looks even more AI. I bet that's what Shadow Games looks. I like the Shadow Games cover.
Is there a new one, or
That's one of my favorite covers.
I think that's the old one that they're talking about. I thought it was pretty good. Was it Shadow Games was the one that was almost not called Shadow Games, right? Because there was a vote for the title of the book. What was the other title that they considered?
Well, I'm not sure if there was a vote, but there was a when they first announced it, it was Hollow Star, and
that's right,
because changed the title. Yeah, I think there were a couple books around that era, even Allegiance and Choice of the One. I feel like those titles changed.
And Razor's Edge by Martha Wells. She said that she didn't even know the title of the book, so she wrote a Leia story without knowing the title, and basically was like, "Here you go, title the book." How do you write a story without knowing the title?
Well, sometimes I guess their editors or the publisher will come up with it.
Honestly, I'd almost prefer to have the title after writing it, because you can kind of play with it.
Yeah.
Razor's Edge, I don't know if there was much Edge of Razors in that book, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a differing opinion here. That's awesome. That's cool. Loves the patterning of the floor and the lighting. So tends to prefer the new covers. So there are people who, there's an audience for the ELC covers too. I mean, art is subjective, obviously. So some people are going to prefer newer things. I think maybe there's going to be some nostalgia for folks like myself and others. Even though I didn't grow up with it when it came out, the ELC covers didn't exist when I was first getting Star Wars books. So I'm probably going to tend to prefer the originals. But yeah, here's Knight Errant. Now, I'm really interested to hear you guys' thoughts because I have always hated the original Knight Errant cover. Hated it. I don't like it at all. So I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts here because the new one I think had a great chance to be better, but I don't know that it is. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear what you guys think.
I think by the time Knight Errant came out, the quality of the covers that were coming out by Star Wars books just took a nosedive. They weren't very good. And I think this came out probably around 2011, 2012-ish.
Sounds about right.
I think by that point they were pretty much done. Like I think the writing was on the wall that they were going to either do something drastic or something was coming, I think. And when you see that, compare it to the new cover, I don't really see much of a difference. I think they're both kind of black covers, and it almost reminds me John Van Fleet, I think, did the was it the second book of the, not Path of Destruction, but the second one?
Rule of Two.
Rule of Two. Yeah, that cover is particularly bad. I think it's among the worst of the original Star Wars VU covers, and this reminds me a lot of that. Actually, both of these kind of remind me a lot of that. And I don't really see much of a difference. Obviously, stylistically, the new ELC cover is a little bit different. It sort of matches the other ELC covers, but I just don't really care for either one. I don't think, when you're reading the book, I don't think this really makes you, let me glance at the cover while I'm trying to visualize what I'm reading here. It's very uninspiring.
I actually like it better than the original. Like, the more I'm looking at it, and now I've not read it. I've not read this book. I wonder how many of these books I've actually read. Now I've read the comics and the brief synopsis that I could come up with from the comic book series, and Kara Holt's whole journey is kind of the light and the dark in Sith space. Everyone's falling to the dark side. Everyone's, this. I feel like it's more represented in the ELC than the old one. The old one's just, hey, it's a Jedi book. She's a girl. It's cool. Let's go. I also think that they gave up after New Jedi Order with the covers for the most part. There might be a few here and there. Everything else was just, they are either video game tie-ins or movie tie-ins with the covers. I'm not saying that the contents of it was bad, but you have the prequel novels that came out. They're just clips from the movies. And then you have some other things. There's a few good ones, but I kind of like it. It's not my favorite. I'm sure if I read it, I'll have a different perspective, but I'll just say it's better than the original.
I think I'm agreeing with you guys, or with Brady here on this regard. Before we get to Liam's thoughts, I think the one on the right is an improvement. It's at least more reminiscent, I think, of the book as a whole. The darkness all around are represented. The red and green actually kind of work nicely together, I think, here. Kind of Christmassy if you look at it for too long, but the red and green works at least it's not a close up of their face like this with a lightsaber barely in shot and reflecting in her eye. I was like, why is her eye green? I was so confused. The Star Wars just feels really big and in your face here, but the one on the right, as Scott pointed out, is keeping with the other Old Republic tie-in novels, right? So they're all, now interestingly, it's subtitled Knight Errant: The Old Republic. Mm-hmm. So I thought that's interesting because it's not a SWTOR tie-in, but the other SWTOR tie-in novels were also subtitled like that. So it's kind of interesting that just by era they're associating it. which is kind of a unique detail, I guess. But
Sorry, was Darth Bane subtitled The Old Republic?
I don't think so. I don't think it was. When they do
I
Red
think
Harvest, it'll be
books
interesting
one
if
and
they do.
I think books 1 and 3 were subtitled The Old Republic, but I think Rule of Two didn't have that.
Really? That's
I could be wrong,
It's a good
but I think
indicator
so.
of the era in which you expect to read this book, because Knight Errant, that could take place in the New Jedi Order era, that could take place in the New Republic era,
Yeah.
even way on in the timeline, Crucible. So to indicate that to the reader when they're deciding whether or not they want to read this book or in what order, I think that's helpful, at least.
Definitely. I do think the cover summarizes kind of what the book's about. It's with her combating all the darkness around her. She's in this space. She's all alone, basically. It kind of makes a point. She's the sole light against the darkness throughout the comics and the novel. Kind of the point of the story. Behind enemy lines, will she not fall to the dark side? And so, yeah, I think the cover communicates that a bit better for the new one. So I don't love the new cover, but it's at least an improvement, I think. Liam?
So the original cover I never really liked that much. I've always found it weird how her head and her chin, the way it's photoshopped, it doesn't look right. If you know what I mean.
It doesn't.
It looks so weird, and
Oh,
she
that
doesn't
is
even look like
weird.
She doesn't even look human either. She looks like some sort of alien species.
Some of her skin
This
is
is like
green.
the greenness.
Yeah.
It looks like I don't know. You can't really figure out what's going on. It's just somebody on a Hoth planet with a lightsaber.
The more you look
whereas
at it, the
new-
more worse it gets. Sorry to
Exactly. No, you're fine. The new ELC cover, it actually portrays something kind of cool. I actually really love this ELC cover. I think it looks really cool. However, I know this is slightly off topic, but I've always hated the fact that this was a book in the first place. I don't think it should have ever been a book. But I do like the new ELC cover. It is cool. But yeah. That's I don't.
Would you have preferred it to just stay as a comic series and spend more time with it in a comic series?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. The book was completely pointless.
Sorry.
I love the ELC. The ELC cover, I'd probably give maybe a 9 out of 10. Honestly, the old cover probably like maybe a 3 out of 10.
I think I'm coming around a 2 or 3 for the original, and maybe like a 5 or 6. I think for me for the newer one. Brady, Scott.
Yeah, I'd say maybe a 1 or 2 for both of them. Honestly, I think just one point. This is one of the books that never actually got a hardcover. So I was hoping Inkstone Press eventually does something with the new ELC cover. And Liam made up a good point about the comic. It would be interesting if they tried to use one of the comic panels as the cover. Like they already have that done and completed. I'm sure there's some good artwork in one of those. I mean, there's 3 trade paperbacks, so they could take their pick on the best artwork.
That would have been. They did that.
Yeah, that would have been another
some really
possibility.
Good covers.
Yeah.
The cover artists at the time were brilliant.
Right, and it would let you know that there's an associated comic to this story, because now, based on the ELC, you would probably never know.
Yeah.
Now the novel, didn't it contain?
1 second.
Yeah, it contains some sample
from the comics. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the ELC does, but.
Catching up on a few comments, Harry remembers that they cited airport novel thrillers as an influence, which I didn't see. And we've got some love for the new cover. Oh, hey, a new cover I like. So nice. likes the use of color, how it still has green. This is an improvement, so it seems the consensus in the chat is that this improved. Arthur showed up. Good to see you, buddy. More interesting colors. At least it's not just face. I do get that.
I love that. That's
Just
the
Photoshopped
perfect way to
badly
describe it.
face.
Space.
makes sense to me.
Yes.
Because like the face looks so like it's not even connected to the hair and the hand connected to the
Yeah.
lightsaber. And the
Very cat-
lightsaber is it's Darth Vader's lightsaber from one of the concepts or something.
Very cat-like
I
face.
just noticed, where is her
It
neck at?
is. It's almost Vulcan. It's giving me a little bit Vulcan vibes from Trek a little bit for me. I think Auditech, nice to see him show up. He does all the audio comics that are really, really good that you can
Oh,
go
nice.
to his channel and check out if you'd like to. He did the Stark Hyperspace War recently,
Ooh.
and the voice acting is really good in those. The music, it's a vibe. I really enjoy watching those, and he sums it up really well. Not a huge fan of either of those covers, to be honest, but I think it improved too. I think that's kind of where my thoughts are at. And Marcel shows up as well, just in time to move to Wave 10 with X-Wing. And I'm probably going to get shot for this opinion, but I actually really like the new cover. I actually like it. They look like...
How do I boot Brennan off his own stream?
We can all leave. I'm kidding.
Yeah, a revolt. But I do think they look a little action figure like, but I kind of like it. I don't know why. It makes me feel happy. Piggy is great to see. Vort Piggy Sabin Ring. I think I got his name right. But great to see. I love Piggy. I love him as a character, so I was glad that he was in Mercy Kill. And that was probably the only good part of it, was that Piggy was in it. And but here's the thing though. Iron Fist's original cover is like iconic. So it's like, can I say it's better? Because I genuinely think this is one of the best ELC covers. The lighting just makes me feel happy. It makes me feel warm inside. Just the warm colors. I like it. The Star Destroyer and the TIE Fighters are reflecting very well as well. And illustrating a character that we've... remind me of her name, Scott. It's slipping my mind.
Is it Tyria?
I think it is Tyria, yeah. And
I wasn't sure if it was that or...
Before, right?
Well, I think, like you said earlier, she's in one of those Who's Who in Wraith Squadron.
Like one of the sketches, yeah.
In either Star Wars Gamer or Star Wars Insider. I almost thought it was Laura Nostril.
I think it's not. Yeah, I think on Wikipedia they said that it's Tyria. But I think that this is a better illustration for her as well, compared to just a black and white sketch from one of the Who's Who's. So it's cool to get, right? When we get new characters depicted on covers, that's a net win for EU fans, I'd say. But this is one of the best ELC covers for me. But the old cover is probably the best. Maybe Starfighters of Adamar, but or Adjumar. But one of those two, that or Iron Fist, is the best cover from X-Wing for me. So it's like, I don't know what I should say here. I think I might give an edge to the new one, somewhat blasphemously. I might give an edge to the one on the right. But you guys can take it away and put me in my place now. So one of y'all can give your thoughts.
It's interesting hearing not just Brennan, but people in the chat actually preferring the new covers.
Wow.
Me being an older fan, especially with the Bantam covers like X-Wing, Iron Fist, some of the newer ones like Knight Errant, I don't really care for either, but like this one reminds me very much, the old cover reminds me very much of the N64 Star Wars Rogue Squadron game. I remember specifically there's a lot of levels with that platform and the shuttle, and there's a lot of like escorting shuttles away from the battle and that. So this really gives me a lot of vibes from that game specifically. I think it's great artwork. I think it's arguably one of the best X-Wing covers. The new one, I know we get to see Piggy here. He's a very popular character, I would say. It's the same style as we were talking about from all the other X-Wing covers and apparently Alphabet Squadron too, but it's just no comparison to me. Like the old cover is just 10 out of 10, and the new one maybe 3 or 4 at best. So I just can't see anybody, at least of my generation, preferring the new cover, but maybe some other people would disagree.
I found the 000s from 000. That cover.
On Iron Fist.
Yes.
The 3 moons behind there.
Yep. I kind of feel the same way about this one as I did for Race Squadron. I've not read this book, so I'm just judging it off of the cover. Someone said in the comments that it looks like Endor from Return of the Jedi. That was my first thought whenever I looked at it, and I'm assuming this is depicting a scene from the book. That's how it is for all of them, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have.
Imagine that Star Wars books with covers that depict scenes in the books.
Which is good.
Republic Commando ELCs could never.
But yeah, I'd say that it's pretty good, decent, like in the middle, maybe a little bit above, kind of in between. I wouldn't say that it's better, but it's not ish okay.
I don't really know where I'd rank these. I'm kind of, for every single one of the X-Wing ones, I pretty much have the same exact thoughts. So I won't say too much. I think they're both great, honestly. I don't really know if one is better than the other. They both look great to me. I think the Iron Fist cover is definitely the best of the original X-Wing covers, though.
Yeah.
Probably
it's so good. The light
my other
reflecting in the ties is just so good.
Oh yeah, I love it. Probably my other favorite one, it would be Solo Command. I love that one too.
Solo Command's pretty solid. Yeah. I'd say that these are like a 10 and a 9.
Or is that the next wave?
That's the next one, I think, right? In wave 11, which we'll cover on the next stream. Yeah.
For the Wraith Squadron ELCs, I would actually, it'd be nice to have them as posters. Like I would buy them as a poster.
Yeah, I like them. I can't unsee. Was it Harry who said in the comments that they look like propaganda posters? Yeah. This one really does. This one really does. And I kind of dig the vibe to it. But I'd say the old cover is probably a 10 of 10, and the new one's like a 9. I'd say is maybe where I'm coming. I really like them both. We've got some comments here. At Legends Con 2, there will be a duel, and he will take my Iron Fist copy, my original one, because of the slander I've spoken against it. Where is it even? It's up here. Yeah. My copy is a little worn. But yeah, it's a classic cover. I love one aside, a brief tangent. Man, do I miss the gold for the printing, the stamps on the covers to where the logo stuck off the cover. I miss that so much with the Legends banner ones, you know. It was great when they had the stamp, just some depth to the cover, makes it feel super special. Horrible. I'm not sure if this is in reference to the new cover or not. Prefers the old cover here. This is a hilarious comment. There's something sad that happens in this book. Iron Fist is more like Iron Fist clenching my heart and ripping it out of my chest while I'm reading it.
Interesting.
Should they have an Iron Fist on the cover of it? No.
I don't think so.
I never realized that double meaning, but it's very astute.
Yeah. False Piggy looks plastic. I can see that. The old school look on the old one, it looks hand painted. It does look hand painted. The new one looks better. A better realization of the propaganda poster influence. I do like that. Of the lighting of the new color and use of negative space to represent the Star Destroyers and TIE Fighters with old covers, just so lovely. its detail, and it's incredibly satisfying to look at. Thank you, Alex. You don't have to do that, but thank you. The old cover looks like the platform turned the jet. Yeah, it does, I'd say. Blasphemous is right, and the new cover is horrendous. I've made another enemy today. Definitely prefers the left. X-Wing has some of the best art. I'd say so.
For sure.
Me too, Scott. I have the same thought about the N64 game. The Star Destroyer. Yeah, I think the Star Destroyer is in the perfect place, right below Taria here. The angles. I think the angles. I think they did a good job with that.
Shouldn't it be a Super Star Destroyer though? I'm just saying.
Well,
I guess it's just not as iconic.
I mean, Iron Fist. It's referring to the Super Star Destroyer.
Right.
yeah.
So at least refer to the ship, right?
I like the new X-Wing covers more in general. Wow. I really like the contrast in color. Yeah, I think they're solid, to be honest. Liam is a good dude.
I'll create a.
Hi. Thanks,
Oh,
I
never
appreciate
mind,
it.
I totally agree about the Outlander comics. Moving on, unless anyone had anything to add. We're back to roasting Republic
boy.
Commando. Who wants to take this first?
I can. They're being very obvious about it right now that they're trying to cash in with those tie-ins to the Bad Batch because I don't know if you guys watch the show, but Wrecker is he's the strong dumb character, and this front one resembles him a lot, minus the paint job and different things like that. I've not read this one as well. I feel like
You're not missing much with this one.
Okay. Is this the last one?
This wasn't supposed to be the last one. There's going to be Imperial Commando 2, but then Travis kind of left Lucasfilm, and then they were going to have Stover write it, the second one come in instead of her, but then neither of them ended up getting published because of the cancellation, I believe.
I gotcha. Okay.
So this was one of the later ones. This was what, 2012, 2013 that 501st came out? It must have been late, Scott, right?
Yeah, this was. I remember this being one of the last books, totally. And I don't know. By that point, like Karen Travis was just such a enemy of the fandom, that nobody really. At least I didn't pay that much attention when this was coming out. There was so much stuff going on at that time. Like you could read other books.
Okay. Because I know Darman has black armor. Are there other troopers with black armor?
I guess the commandos do have like a silvery armor. I wouldn't say it's black in this.
Okay.
Not that I remember.
Okay. I didn't.
If it was,
I didn't know if they were
it's not a
trying to
major
go
plot
for
point.
black armor like Darman's, because it's beautiful looking.
I'd say the only thing that was good about this book. This is the one that brings back Scout, right? From Yoda Dark Rendezvous. She shows up at the end, and I was like, let's go. Scout's back. I really like that character. I remember that character. And then it sets her up for like a story that she's going to have next, and then it doesn't happen. So at least we know she survived Order 66, I guess. Spoilers. But yeah, she shows up again from Yoda Dark Rendezvous, and it's pretty dope, but nothing else really happens in this book. There's also a Kaminoan Jedi who survived Order 66 who shows up named Kina Ha. I believe she shows up in this. And that was interesting. That was one of the best parts of the book because there's a dichotomy between Kaminoans and the Republic Commandos because the Commandos don't like Kaminoans because of mistreatment as they were being trained as like soldiers, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's like distrust, but then this Kaminoan's like, I didn't do what my people did to you. I was a Jedi. I had no part in that. And then there's still like a hatred back and forth. So that was an interesting plot point, but that's the only thing I remember about this book. Like everything else about it, I just forgot.
I feel like having a Kaminoan Jedi causes problems with Attack of the Clones.
That was a little fuzzy. That was a little fussy.
because
I'll definitely give it that because
they're
it's
like,
supposed to be disappeared from the archives, right?
right. And if there's just one running around, he could go, "Oh, hey,
Oh, Obi-Wan,
what's
you're looking
this?"
for my
Even
home
though,
planet?
yeah, I'm looking for your planet, man.
Some people did mention that back in the forums at the time, and this whole series, Republic Commando, it had a strong fan base. It had a very loyal fan base. There were some people that really liked it and just read this series of books because they played the video game. So no other EU. They were just interested in these books, kind of like Shadows of the Empire, right? Earlier on from a different time period. But I don't know. This was just never my cup of tea. I never really got into this series, and I was already tired of Clone Wars by this point, and just the fact that we had so much stuff in this era already, and then they came out with Dave Filoni's Clone Wars on top of that. It was way too much for me. But I might be in the minority. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel the same way with you on this. I think the old one's better. The old I feel the same way as you on the series and on the covers. But as far as the series goes, I thought the first book was solid. I actually really enjoyed the first book as an adventure where it's like a squad of troopers goes down to a planet to help get a Jedi out, and they're fighting separatists on. That's a good self-contained story. But then the series went on, and I just started to lose interest, I guess. I'm gonna point out some glaring problems with the new cover here. A proportion of arms. I saw T-Rex arms, I think, in the chat, which we'll get to later. But the proportions are off. What's going on with the barrel of that gun? That gun must be huge if that's if that's the blaster. I just feel like the proportions are all wrong. Maybe some Bad Batch influence, like Brady's saying. I can see that. The one on the left is a cool idea for a cover, like rappelling down a building, soldiers kind of giving us this Black Ops feel. I like the concept, but it's not executed well. That being said, the colors in the back are pretty nice. I like seeing Coruscant visualized, so that's good. But
yeah, there were a lot of
yeah.
orange covers around this time. I feel like everything, even specifically in this era of the timeline, there's a lot of orange covers. Even with
it
Revenge of
transferred
the
into New Dawn as well.
Yeah,
Like-
with Revenge of the Sith, Labyrinth of Evil, and then Rise of Dark Lord, they're all very similar. Then you add these to that, and just the armor style of the Republic Commando. I remember when my little brother got one of the action figures that first came out around this time.
Oh,
I was
those are
like,
valuable now.
yeah, no, they weren't at the time because I always thought that they really looked weird. I know they were going for like a bulkier, rough and tumble type of character, or type of armor that they had going on there. But I just thought it looked off and didn't really match anything else from the stormtroopers or from the clone troopers around that time. And I never really played the game, so maybe that had some implication on the game that I'm not aware of. But I just thought they looked weird, and I think they still look weird on the cover, like both the old one and the new one. I just don't like that style of Clone Wars, clone trooper armor.
It's very like, I don't know much about Halo, but it's very like Master Chief.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
that's
probably
a good point.
trying to be a little bit like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the
Commando's a
perfect way to
ripoff of
describe it, I
Halo.
think, actually.
So
It looks just like Halo.
yeah, so new cover like 0 of 10, 1 of 10. Old cover like maybe 2. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe it's more like a 3, but
I
that's
don't
mine.
think you're being too harsh.
What about y'all?
Trash.
Yeah, they're both trash. in my
I
opinion.
actually, maybe I'm in the minority here, but I actually really dig the old cover. I thought it was super cool looking.
Oh,
The new cover is terrible. It's not nearly as terrible as the Order 66 one, because that one was just like the Order 66 one might just be the worst DLC cover so far, but
Yeah,
this
full
one's
stop, yeah.
slightly better.
Yeah.
But I 100% prefer the original. I think the original is great. This one, the only I almost said Stormtrooper. The only trooper here that actually looks somewhat normal for the ELC cover is the one on the right.
I'd say
The
so.
one in front, I don't know what that guy's doing.
Breaking the bones in his arms for that pose.
And then yeah, I don't know what's going on here. It doesn't look very good. That definitely probably like a 1 for me. No, a 2 because it's better than the other one. The other one I'd say is a 1. This is a 2.
Or maybe a 1.5. Split the difference.
That's 1.5. That's about right.
0.5 for not being the ELC Order 66 cover. That in and of itself gives it a boost. Brady, what would you say your rating is for these two?
The original one is bold and brass. The other one belongs in the trash.
we got some poetry. We got some bars from Brady
that's from
today.
SpongeBob.
Okay.
But they're trying for Bad Batch. I guess they're not trying hard. The original one looks cool. Looks like, they're trying to get into that video game, get some of that video game money, some of that Halo money. Oh, you like Star Wars Halo? Get this. But yeah. I'd have a poster of the 501st, but throw away the other one.
Yeah. Some comments here. The ELC one looks very AI generated.
Oh yeah,
I'd say that's the case. T-Rex arms. This is a kind thing to say, Alex. I don't know that it's entirely correct, but appreciate the sentiment. This is the cover where you first heard. The first one for me was 000, where that's clearly seemed to be AI to me. The fact that there's just 3 circles in the sky is like they typed in 000 cover into AI, because those are not in the story. It's so wild that that's an actual cover that exists. It's so bad. Prefer the old one here. This is the most blatant AI art I've ever seen. When this released, me and my friend saw it at the bookshop, and we could not stop laughing. It's very AI art. Art deco about the new cover. The aesthetic doesn't fit Star Wars. I'd agree with that.
I don't know what that white circle is in the background. That just doesn't look very good.
I did not notice that until you said. I had not even
seen
that.
The red looks kind of cool, but I feel like that whatever that white circle is kind of ruins it.
It's very bright, actually, now that you mentioned it. I did not even notice that there was a circle back there, but it's kind of overpowering. Like, now I can't see anything else.
The background just be completely black with that little bit of red in the front instead of that giant whatever that is in the background.
Autotech says the line, "They were the Republic's right hand. Now they're the Empire's iron fist." Goes harder than both cover pictures together. Absolutely.
I love that.
Why they don't just crush these covers. In Imperial Commander, there's so much you can. They look like regular commandos. Yeah. Old one has repelling. Repelling is sweet. Simple man likes simple things. This is a great comment, Arthur.
I love the OG cover. It's definitely my favorite out of all the Republic Commando covers.
Hand of Thrawn had a continuation of these where they wrapped up Coruscant Knights and Imperial Commando. If you're interested,
Twilight of the Jedi.
That's the title.
I think that's what it's called, right? I could be wrong.
You're absolutely right. I heard that it's one of the best of Hand of Thrawn's. Alex said it's his only solid work. That the war in Star Wars would be fought in our own world as much as the fictional one. Maybe they mistook the Kaminoan Jedi for Yarael Poo.
That's what I was thinking.
Now there's a fan theory. Yeah, absolutely. Pretty weird for Castanew to deny the fact Camino exists when there's a Kaminoan in the temple. That's so weird. Yeah. Maybe they weren't born on I think there was a story like that. I think that's what they said, isn't it? They said that they were elsewhere or something. Maybe they tried. I don't really remember. I'll have to research the character after this.
It did exist. It was just before it was erased in the archives.
And then when
Well,
it's
yeah,
erased,
yeah.
it doesn't exist.
Yeah. That would have happened sometime before episode 2. So I guess they just forgot they had a Jedi from the planet. They were just like, oh, where are they from? I don't know.
Oopsie. It's my one job to look after all the archives. Let's just forget about that one. That's my one job, but
Newish to Star Wars. Nice. Well, we're glad you're here and enjoying the EU. Thank you for joining us tonight. Alex was with Liam on something that you said like 6 minutes ago. So there's that. I'm always behind on the chats. I do a terrible job navigating this. I want to make sure everyone's thoughts are seen, but I do a bad job of navigating this flow. So apologies there. Hey, Max, nice to see you. And I'm all caught up. So that means we can move on to the last cover.
Just to address Marissa's comment, I think they did credit all of these covers to specific artists. They insist that they're not AI,
Really?
even though very likely they look AI. But yeah, Del Rey says
I would love to
So
see
they
the
do
names
say
of
there's
these.
real artists for these.
Yeah, in one of the what I forget, one of the posts that they made, they actually credit all the artists. And I think it's different artists in a lot of cases. So
I just don't.
I gotta see some of their other art.
I would genuinely have to see them making this piece to believe that a human did. That's how convinced I am that it's AI.
Look real.
Or maybe they did a sketch and they like enhanced it with AI. I just don't know.
I'm sorry, Scott.
I think some covers in the past were enhanced by Photoshop and things like that. So I think you still get credit, but it has to be at least somewhat of an original drawing or painting or something, not just a completely computer generated image, which I think they've actually used in the past, like Yoda Dark Rendezvous. I think they just used actual stills of Dooku and Yoda and that, and just made it artistically with some background color in that. But I don't know. I digress.
For the next one, I'm going to put up some Lando covers on screen because I didn't put them in the slide. So I'm going to look up Lando Calrissian Trilogy real quickly and put those on screen so that folks can see the other covers, because there's a few and I wasn't sure which one they used. But the next one that we'll get back to in a second is going to be Wave 10 here with Lando, which they took from an original cover. So the new is the old. So I'm going to share my screen real quick to this tab. Let me know if you guys can see it. Is that on screen for you guys?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Okay.
It looks like that they're learning from their mistakes.
Maybe.
It's better than the AI art.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an improvement right away.
This one was released in the 90s, which is all three together. They advertised 3 novels for the price of 1. Great value, of course. This is actually, if anyone has this cover, I will buy it off of you. I really want to get this edition. I cannot find this edition for sale anywhere. This red 2005 mass market paperback. I think this might be my favorite of all of them. I really dig this cover, minus the banner. The font, the blue, the falcon back there, all of it just works for some reason. So minus the new introduction by Pablo Hidalgo, I think this might be my favorite of the Lando trilogy covers. That's all 3 of them in one, because they were also individually released prior. And this is where you'll recognize the ELC cover that we'll talk about in a minute is the Mind Harp of Sharu cover. Now the ELC might do a better job of distributing that art. It enhances it, makes it look better, I think, than here. There's so much black space here, right? Empty space here. I think they do a better job of distributing the art on the ELC, actually, which might be props to the ELC. And then there's also Flamewind of Ocean cover, which I think goes so hard. I absolutely love this cover so much. And then Star Cave of Thumbaka was decent. I'd say it's a little better than Mind Harp of Sharu, but not quite as good as Flamewind. Not sure how you guys feel on those three.
Yeah, Flame Wind's by far the best in my opinion. But I agree. In some of the ELC covers and even some of the reprints of with the Legends banner, the detail of the reproduction of the covers is kind of grainy, kind of pixelated in some cases, like washed out, like it isn't a perfect original, that they used like a copy or maybe a scan in some cases. So I'll be interesting. I haven't actually seen this on the shelf, the new Lando book, but just to compare to see how it looks against the original, if it looks washed out or if it looks enhanced in any way. It's kind of hard to tell from the picture on screen, but I'd like to see it in person and see how it actually compares.
I'm gonna blow this up real quick and zoom in. I don't remember these stars being there on the original one. Maybe they are. We'll go back to that in a second. But I'd say it looks good. Like it's a good scan
Definitely
of the
a
art.
lot more detail.
Yeah, because looking at the original one, like the original edition, I don't know that they use the space as well. I think the ELC might actually be even better than this one.
No.
The stars are there.
Stars are there, yeah.
The nebula there.
Tricks are for
I
kids.
think it's a I think it's a clean transfer, I think. So here is the slide once again. So I will say
I like
I'll
the
get my
filter on
thoughts
it
out.
better.
Yeah, it does look enhanced. Like the colors are more vibrant maybe on this one. So I don't know if they had the original art piece somewhere and just scanned that in, or if they've actually enhanced it, because it just looks really good here. I would say that, well, first of all, the classic Star Wars line, they're kind of nostalgic, but they're terrible. The tiny little piece of art on there and just the title so big, it looks bad on all of them. But as far as the Lando Calrissian trilogy go, if you're not going to get them as individual 3, which is the way you should get them, in my opinion, if you're going to do a 3-in-1, I think the Legends banner blue Lando is probably the best. 3 novels for the price of 1. Yeah, they really leaned into that. But I'd say the ELC looks great. But should it get credit since it's just taking the original art piece?
I think the creative team should get credit for not messing it up and actually choosing something good. Like,
I agree with that.
Like if this is what the future of them will look like, I think it's going in a good direction. What I want to see is New Jedi Order with the Japanese covers.
Oh, please. That would be amazing. I don't know. The problem is they're like wraparound, right? So like how would they format it?
You could have a wraparound cover. I mean,
well, it would kind of conflict with the other ELCs that they've kept consistent, right?
It don't matter. As long as they use that same banner and they keep them the same size on the shelf, I think you could use all the space for artwork. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Will they do it? Do they even own the rights to that art anymore?
Probably not. That's a good question. That's something we should ask Del Rey.
Yeah. Because if they do own it, why are they not making posters right now of the Japanese art? Like they would be making so much from us. We'd all be just handing them our money.
Yeah, I know in the past the Kenner action figures have used that artwork. So they've used that artwork, the Japanese New Jedi Order covers in other instances. So maybe even if they don't own it, they could license it. And it would still be cheaper than doing this weird AI art that's not AI art.
Definitely.
So the person that did the Republic Commando novels, they're actually like not that popular of a
do you have
artist.
a website that you could send me so we could put that on screen and investigate in a minute?
I mean, I have their Instagram with like 2,400 followers. Like it's
wow, they are getting
not
very not well-known artists.
They're probably like cheaping out for it. it looks
Wow.
like. I mean,
Or is the
if you
art
like that art, you like
similar?
it.
Is the
What's
art
that?
on their Instagram similar in like look?
Yes.
Okay, it is. So it is a style and it's not AI.
They have not claimed that it is AI generated.
I don't think they'll ever claim it.
I'm sure they signed something.
I just can't believe that those proportions were done by a human.
It
Even with the
looks,
style, it doesn't look real.
some of their other stuff looks better because it like fits the whole like thing, like it kind of, but it looks weird when it's something we're very familiar with. So
You know what they could do if they're trying to get low budget artists to do the work? Just have a fan contest. Just ask for
That would be
submissions.
amazing.
Say what book cover
Really good idea.
you know you're going to come out with next in the next wave, and submit your own, you know, based on the title.
Or
I'm sure
Crystal
you could get a
Star.
lot of. Oh
If
yeah,
they
we
were
need a
doing
Waru
Crystal
cover.
Star, I would
Yes.
I would take the picture of Waru we have and just enhance the yellow, turn it right up, turn the saturation up, just have it super yellow and in your face, and just send it in.
Yeah,
And maybe
but
I'd win.
maybe you would. And I'm just saying that they did that in the past with like the Adventure Journal. I don't think the main artwork in those stories were fan submitted, but some of the drawings were, I believe, if
Yeah.
I'm remembering correctly. So you can get some good submissions. You could get some good artwork that I think would be even better than what they've been coming out with so
Instead
far.
of
So
paying for like a small, relatively unknown artist, a contest like this, do you know how many people would kill to have it known that they did a Star Wars cover in their portfolio? You would have so many people sending in their best work. You would have such huge fans of these books who are super talented, who do fan art and all of that kind of stuff. You'd have them pouring their souls into their submissions. You get the best out of people, and then I still think that you wouldn't have to pay too much, because if they're entering a contest for it,
yeah,
that's not going to be like then they can charge you six figures, right?
right,
So
you'd still
it would
pay
be a
them
win
for their
everyone.
work. But
Yeah.
or at least credit, you know, just having credit for them. I was looking at their Instagram and or just their portfolio, but the person that did the Republic Commandos, they don't make Star Wars art. Like that's the only Star Wars art that they made.
Why are they not getting fans to do it? That would be, I feel like, logical.
I don't know. Maybe they're worried about lawsuits or something.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, once you're chosen, you'd have to sign away, you know, the waivers and that. They'd be compensated, of course, but
Right.
I still think there'd be a way to do it because they've done it in the past with other things. I know Disney's a little bit harder to deal with, but
Yeah.
still, I think there'd be a way. They have card games where they use original art now with Star Wars Unlimited. I mean, they hire and pay the artist, of course, but it's all original artwork. So I think there'd be a way around it.
Okay. I don't know.
So how are we feeling about this ELC cover? Because I think it's the best of all of them that we've looked at. But then again, I feel like I can't tell them that they did a good job when they just took art they already had.
I don't think I can rank this properly.
It's
Maybe
hard
this
to.
just needs its own tier, I think.
I'd have to
like,
see it in person to actually compare, because it looks like the color palette has changed a little bit. Like they darkened Lando, at least on this version. Now there's many versions of what you call the old book, but it looks like even the collar on Lando is a little, the colors changed a little bit.
It looks slightly more purpley and bluey, like they brought that out a bit more. Those colors look a bit brighter. There's more contrast in there, maybe. I don't know. Something I would note is we know that this won't be the precedent going forward, unfortunately, because as we'll get to next stream, they released the Han Solo Adventures one, and they didn't take one of the old art pieces. They created something that is truly something to behold. Some people really like it. Some people said they really liked it. But Yeah, we'll get to that next time. It's certainly a choice. They go for, it looks more like it should be an Adventures in Hyperspace by Ryder Wyndham cover than like a novel cover to me. But we'll get into that next time, I suppose. Now I think maybe the reason they didn't take from the original trilogy covers is because there's barely any art on them. They're mostly just blue, orange, and black with a tiny bit of art on them. There's just like it looks almost like a PNG file before PNGs existed. It's like they're on a green screen almost, like Han and Chewie in several of those covers. But they're pretty nostalgic covers to me. But it makes this a really weird outlier. If you're gonna do Lando by just taking the old cover and then do a completely different vibe with the Han Solo one, it just feels so weird. And it contributes to the ELC waves feeling like such a mishmash, such a mixed bag in covers and when they release them and what they choose to do.
They're probably experimenting because, I'm sure they had those art pieces in the pipeline for a while, and we don't know if they tried to rearrange things or what the whole process of these are, or at least I don't know.
Maybe
I'm sure
Lando... Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm sure in like 10 years they're probably gonna do another version of this anyway if all else fails. So
true. In like 10 years they might just reprint it all.
Try to do a new cover this next time.
When's the next Thrawn trilogy? Essential Legends collection, just so they can reprint the Thrawn trilogy.
When the Heir to the Empire movie by Dave Filoni comes out.
Do you think that they will actually do like a major motion picture? Like when paperbacks get reprinted with like now a major motion picture.
That they might do the inspiration of the now major motion picture. They might do that.
A minor
I would be
motion
curious
picture, depending upon how it turns out.
Versus Heir to the Empire.
Because they'll probably
the two.
Because they'll probably have a novelist. If they call it Heir to the Empire, they will have a novelization of Dave Filoni's Heir to the Empire.
That's gonna
they might get Zahn to write it.
Oh my gosh.
That would be the most insane thing ever.
Inception.
He writes it in the EU.
I have an Heir to the Empire in the EU and the Disney canon. I'm Timothy Zahn.
Well, he writes his books like they're all connected.
He does.
He writes them to fit into his other
He
Thrawn.
said he wrote the Ascendancy series or whatever. He said there's apparently, I hear, EU connections in there. He explained the backstory of one of his EU characters. That's a cool approach, I would say.
He references the Outbound Flight project and the events of that book, which once I finish the EU, I'll probably read those ones. But
nice. They're almost pseudo EU, mentioning EU events,
Right. It's just that ego that authors have whenever they're playing in the sandbox. They're like, it works with my story and no one else's. Because, he plays nice with Dave Filoni, but everyone else he doesn't.
Something I was thinking about looking at the Lando cover here. Do you think the AI art was so bad that they were like, shoot, we already generated our art piece and it's terrible. We're just gonna have to use the old cover.
I wonder if they put in the whatever algorithm to get the AI art and it just pumped this out and they had no idea.
That would be the most brilliant thing ever.
AI was like, you can't do better than this.
That would be very scary if nobody recognized that. That would tell you absolutely nobody knows what they're doing there.
Who's the credited author for this? If it's someone else other than the original author, let's see. I don't know if they announced it yet.
Oh, that's funny. That's a funny thought, Brady. Now, I just wonder how much credit can I give them for this? And it seems like they're not going to do it again. based on waves 11 and 12. So like this might be the only ELC cover that has original cover art on it. Isn't that such a weird spot? It's so weird that like wasn't the point the new covers and the new design? So it's just I don't understand it. I'm having a brain meltdown trying to wrap my head around why did they do this? You know,
got some brain leaking going
not
on.
that I'm complaining. Yeah, some brain leaking going on,
Well,
you might say. But
I think we roasted them so many times on these past waves that maybe they just decided, hey, we're not going to do that anymore. No more sixth grade girls' notebooks drawings of Dawn of the Jedi, right? We're just going to stick with the originals just because we don't want to get made fun of. So, I could see that. I can kind of understand that.
we all
I
won. with
bet
this cover.
there's probably a chance that somebody out there at Del Rey probably has seen these streams, because with how small the fandom is, I think there's definitely a possibility. There's not that many people I think that are reviewing these, like comparing.
That's true. So if
It's
anyone has seen
very
these,
possible.
we're not critiquing in a way that we want you to stop the ELCs. We are
Oh,
all
no.
about the ELCs because keep our stories in stores for new fans. Keep bringing new fans. Like if these are in Walmarts, which I've seen them in, if these are in Barnes and Noble, like they'll go in the new release section. That's a win for us. It's getting the story to new people with these new covers. But maybe take our general criticism as just please make better covers in some instances. They've not all been bad. I think there's been some like Rule of Two was definitely an upgrade for sure. Shadow Hunter was an upgrade for sure. So there's been some spots of really good, but we're not a fan of any that look like AI. I think is what we the fandom would say.
And if you're-
Basically, the Republic Commando ones for the most part.
Yeah, if you do New Jedi Order, please don't do it in Republic Commando art style.
Yeah, these covers are important because you have new people entering this for the first time and reading these books for the first time, and this is what they're going to remember. They're not really going to remember the older covers, so it sets a precedent, I think. Sorry, Brady.
No, you're good. And like, if you're gonna use AI to touch it up, like, make it look like it does in the novel. I don't know how many of the artists actually read the novels, but at least a quick look on something to have a good reference.
I definitely agree because Republic Commando ones aren't depicting events from the story. As crazy as it sounds to say, but we've got a few comments to catch up on real quick. A lot, it looks like, actually. So I'll try to speed through them real quick. Let's see where it went to. If anyone has any comments on these comments, feel free to chime in. Arthur agrees with Scott on the Yoda cover. The new actually looks better for once with this Lando one, I'd say so. The new cover is the same cover. Was it a collection of all three? Agree on the blue. Awesome. Yeah, I definitely think that's the best of the Lando ones. Minus if you took the Legends banner away, it would just be perfect for me. I don't own that edition yet, which I'd really like to get that one.
The blue one reminds me specifically of The Last Shot, the new canon novel. It's the same style, kind of.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that.
I think I like the red one of the old classic.
The red one.
Yeah. But I mean, besides the actual original covers, right? The original covers are great, but
that was in the 2005 one when they reprinted Splinter, Han Solo, and Lando with the Lucas Books logo.
Is it really that old? I didn't.
Yeah, 2005 that they, or 2005 that they did these ones, I believe.
Interesting.
Which is quite interesting that they reprinted all of those ones. I really love the font on. Sorry, I'll just show this real quick. This is the UK Splinter, the Mind's Eye, and I just love it for some reason. Everything about it is, I really like it. I think it looks really dope. Like on the side, on the spine.
Cool.
Yeah, I just think it looks really cool. Some of the UK covers are actually kind of like them.
I like the UK books. I think Arrow does the publishing for UK. You can get some different size books. I know for the Lost Tribe of the Sith, at that collection, you can actually get a paperback mass market size, or is it the standard size, not the bigger like
the trade
size, right? So if you're looking for consistency in your collection or your bookshelf, look overseas, look for international covers. You might find what you're looking for.
The Darth Bane Rule of Two cover in Japan or something looks beautiful, and it matches with the rest of them.
Yeah, the Chinese one, it looks great. I completely agree. How the fact that there's 3 zeros that have nothing to do with the story, I just have a hard time believing it. Do you like the coloring on the new? We saw 3 novels for the price of 1. I need them to do NJ with the Japanese covers. That would be incredible.
Going back to 000, there was a First Order Stormtrooper on that.
That's right, there was. That's the one where there's a First Order Stormtrooper during the Clone Wars. Because of course there was.
Yeah.
Do we want to take this as new EU lore? Like there's a continuity that this confirms the Star Wars multiverse, guys. There was a First Order Stormtrooper who traveled through the world between worlds and came to the Clone Wars era on Coruscant.
Through the 000 portals.
Oh, right. Did he have to go through each one, or just
well, one of them goes to the Disney canon. One of them goes to the
Brian Wood series.
The what?
The Brian Wood series.
Brian Wood series. And the other one
Randy Stradley said they're EU, Scott. Keep that in mind.
He also said they weren't. Depending upon when you ask him.
One of them goes to the Detours continuity as well.
Yeah.
Those are the same portals that ET went through. Let's see, what else? No.
I'm glad to know the lore for all of that.
Mm-hmm. It's in Supernatural Encounters too.
You have inside information, it seems, Brady.
Well, to be announced at
Secrets explored for Supernatural Encounters 2.
Yeah, we need to know the answer. Leaks. Why was there a First Order Stormtrooper in the Clone Wars era?
That's what I was afraid to say.
That should be the retitle of this video.
Supernatural Encounters 2. First Order.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of tempted to write a story now.
You should make a video just on that, just as like a completely meme video exploring the
lore
analysis of the.
It's actually a
just
zero
future
order
theorizing
from 000.
That's even better.
Not to be confused with the Second Imperium Young Jedi Knights Stormtroopers.
No, nice. There's some more comments here. The next cover should have Waru fighting Mount Sorrow while Jackson watches. I did my research, and apparently that's all that happened all the time in the EU.
It did.
You have good sources, sir.
That's the plot line for Super. Oh, sorry. Wait, I'm getting a call. Oh, sorry. I can't talk about that. That's to be announced. Lego Waru will appear. Legends Con 2.
We do have videos for waves 1 to 8. They are on the live section of the channel. I think Liam and Brady have been on some of those before.
My goodness.
Yeah, you can watch those, and we will return to discuss waves 11, 12, and what have you in the future. So yeah,
set up a playlist. So
there is a playlist. Thank you. There's a playlist on the playlist tab of my channel as well. But there's so many playlists that I feel like there should almost be a playlist to divide all the playlists up. so navigation becomes somewhat difficult. Dark greetings, moisture boy. Nice. Shout out to Soon Bates, I guess. Rest in peace to that Jedi. Dark greetings again. Forgot about the Zon versus technically still going. I guess it is. That's kind of interesting and weird to think about. I hope the Thrawn movie isn't actually called. Yeah.
Don't you know?
If you look up Young Jedi Knights, Young Jedi Adventures shows up is one of the first results, which is kind of weird. Tales of the Jedi. It's hard to find the story of Ulick and XR on Google now without seeing Ahsoka. I'm not saying it's coordinated, but it almost feels coordinated.
If I type in like Young Jedi Knights, the book series still comes up. But if you type in Young Jedi, of course the show would come up. But
scrolling through these comments, trying to get to the bottom, feeling like Matt behind in my comments now, of course. Just bring out the Japanese covers if they reprint NJO. Absolutely.
I see some people in the comments talking about Lego Waru. That was a video I made probably a year ago. It was a step-by-step tutorial on how to make Lego Waru, and it's not just a golden brick.
Yeah, it's a good video. I'd recommend checking it out on Brady's channel. Fine Editions. I do have more than one. I probably shouldn't. I'm like Anakin. I want more, but I know I shouldn't. Isn't that what he says?
Yes.
I think that's EU fans, isn't it? We want more, but we know we shouldn't. Yeah. That's not true. That would be Chris or Scott, who have definitely way more than me.
Mm-hmm.
Uses the dark staff. I'm not sure what that is, but
New lore?
they use something. Yeah, they use something to get to the Clone Wars era. Clearly, I wonder what they thought about that time period.
Cracking down on this lore today.
Talatni jumped dimensions, and yeah,
she brought home a. When Talatni was going into different worlds, she accidentally brought back a parasite hitched a ride, and she dumped him into the Clone Wars. She just saw armored, and she thought, "Oh, clone trooper!" Boom.
She went, "This is a very convoluted area in time. Let's throw more stuff in it."
That's so true. The most complicated era of the EU by far. Keep forgetting the Brian Wood series exists. I think Brian Wood forgot the series.
That's the only comic series I ever see in my local comic shops because nobody wants to buy it. It's literally everywhere. Multiple copies even. Like there's multiple copies of all these different trade paperbacks of it. I swear I have multiple copies of it at this point. There's just, it's everywhere. It's that bad.
I think I got the Epic collection for it for like $5. Like it had the last bit of that run and then some of the Star Wars Kids stuff in it. I think I got it like $5, and I think that paid for shipping too.
Yeah.
Chris, Brandon, show off your copy of Escape from Dagon.
I wish I knew where it was. Yeah.
You'll be at
right next to Supernatural Encounters 2. Right there off screen. I can see it in the bottom right.
Oh,
better hide it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Adjust my camera.
Oh,
don't want to spoil the surprise.
Still.
Oh no. I'll have to adjust it.
There we go. We're good.
We're good. Okay. Secret is safe. I wish I had Escape from Dagu, but this is a really funny comment. If I were a First Order Stormtrooper, I'd also want to find a way to travel to the Dark Times era EU. Was taken by Talatni from Hyperion and put into the Clone Wars era. Yeah. Just a golden brick, as Brady already covered. It is not just a golden brick. It is indeed. Brady might be showing it to us here. I showed up and heard Greyholme showed up. Wait, let me see. There, Greyholme is now with us.
That's awesome.
Just for the ending. And there is
Hey,
Lego
Greyholme.
Waru. Brady, can you solo layout and we can feast our eyes on Lego
Okay, I need to
Waru.
make that.
That
I
is
need to make that.
awesome.
It is swallowing Luke.
Yep, he's really tall.
That is great.
I desperately need to make
Very
Lego
cool.
Waru.
I think I had it next to Crystal Star. Yeah.
I don't remember what the Dark Staff is.
It's from this Living
somebody,
Force Wizards of the Coast campaign.
That's right. Okay, it's with Darth Riven.
Yep.
Too much lore
we
to
need
comprehend.
to
I'm failing.
we need to like co-author this new First Order like Stormtrooper lore and like add it to the re-expanded timeline, and then we should make like a whole series on it.
On just the First Order Stormtrooper in the Clone Wars.
Might as well give him a saga.
We'll have him
just
fly-
because someone didn't know that those aren't in the Clone Wars era, there is now a whole spin-off series from EU fans about it. Soon coming to Matt's Expanded Universe website. Scott, I think you should write it.
He's going to make one of us write those articles. He's right. He's going to expect a 12-part series.
That's very true. Yeah, my encyclopedia memory, Alex, is too generous, and it is vastly disappearing. It's getting longer and longer since I've read them. It's disappearing faster. Yeah, the Dark
Your
Staff
brain leaking,
controversy
you
of
mean?
24. Yeah, I guess
So
it
you've
happens
become
when you
Matt
get older.
2.0 at last. It only took that long.
Hey, Brendan, I did send you a link to a
To
red
the-
cover. Red
to the-
cover.
Oh, okay.
Red cover. What was it? Lando book.
Oh, you found one online.
Yes, I did. Yep.
Oh, I know what I'm buying directly after this stream. I've been looking for that for a while. I couldn't see any listings, so I will definitely be checking that out. Thank you, Brady.
Yeah, no problem.
And you heard it here first. They're coming to the Expanded Universe website. First Order Stormtrooper, a Stormtrooper Out of Time, by Scott Johnson. For part one.
We should make like the headline for like the new article on expandeduniverse.com, like the mysteries of the First Order in the EU. We need like the dopest headline ever. And does anybody have like a good headline for it? What should it be?
A clickbait title.
I'll work on the
best
cover.
clickbait title
Let me
ever.
open AI generation.
I think Jason Ditzel is going to come out with that series because he has the capacity to write that many articles. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I
don't want to pay for it. I want it for free. Sorry.
Oh, it's going to be the first paid subscriber series, so you got to actually subscribe to the website for those bonus content.
The Expanded Universe Plus.
Yeah, Patreon, Expanded Universe Patreon.
Who is the title should be like who's the man?
The man behind the mask.
If
The
we
man
get
behind
Who's
a
the
the
movie,
mysterious First Order Stormtrooper?
if we make the fan film for it, we should cast John Boyega because he does like the Expanded Universe.
Yeah. He
Finn's
loves Shatterpoint,
long-lost
was it? Or was
brother.
it The Force Unleashed? I forgot.
He was in The Force Unleashed.
No, he really liked The Force Unleashed. I think.
Oh,
It
nice,
was either
that's
that
cool.
or Shatterpoint.
Oh, look at Matt's comment.
oh boy! Can I show it on stream?
This is a family show, Matt.
Okay, never mind. What is the expandeduniverse.com? Is a great website that you can check
Good
out.
one, Matt.
The expandeduniverse.com is a expanded universe website with expanded universe articles on it. And I will be featured on the website again because I returned to my podcast with Alex after a long time. And I'm gonna skip Matt's comment. What's the website? It's the you just type in theexpandeduniverse.com. There's articles from Star Wars EU fans on there. There might be some original short stories posted on there. I will warn you, the search function's pretty terrible, so you'll just find yourself like scrolling through to find articles. I
I was just gonna say what Matt said. Don't type that in. Don't type that in.
Do not type that in. Yeah, Matt, you're hilarious. We all know he's forgotten how to use the net. Okay, well, I'm gonna ignore the direction the conversation's headed and ask for a summary of what we're really here for. And it's not, and what we're really here for is Matt's funny comments. But aside from that, what we're here for is the Essential Legends collection. And I would say it's fair to say that it's been a mixed bag of art. There's some that I enjoy and there's some that I don't. Emphasis on don't, and I assume Matt is still talking.
Look at his comment.
I will look at his comment.
Oh, yeah.
But what do you guys think? Essential Legends collection covers, good, bad, in between.
Only the best fans from the European Union. That's. I wonder what that search engine would be.
I would say the Essential Legends covers are bad in almost all cases. There's some that both the old and the new covers are bad. Yeah. But in most cases, particularly the Bantam era, where they really put in a lot of effort for their covers. I mean, they hired Drew Struzan for some of their covers. Paul Yule, absolutely great artwork. And there's just no matching the originals. And there's something about the original covers. It's like you associate that with that book. And to think that you'd find these same books in stores now and associate it with another cover, it just seems so weird and out there to me. Like I can't get around to rationalize that in any way. Maybe it's different for this next generation of people. And I see even with some of these knockoff Lulu covers of people recreating Star Wars books, they're actually using the Essential Legends collection format for that. So it is catching on in some form or fashion, like whether us old timers actually like it or not. So I personally don't like it, but I can appreciate that this is what we're going to be seeing in stores now. So I guess get used to it.
Yeah, that's good analysis. Greyholme, or do you want to say your piece on the ELCs?
I maintain my verdict of original covers better for across the board.
Even rule of two.
Even rule of two.
If Ruins of Dantooine had literally anything on it, would that change the all across the board?
I really don't know. I mean, if they triple zero Ruins of Dantooine, I'll have nothing to say.
Yeah. I really hope they put Ruins of Dantooine in the Essential Legends collection. That would be really funny. That would be great. I mean, I'd probably go buy it.
Have they still not done yet for whatever strange reasons? Like Hand of Thorn, New Jedi Order,
or the Jedi Academy trilogy. Jedi, but not the Jedi Academy trilogy. That's a weird one. My theory is that they might actually do them all. The way it's going and the vast amount they've already done, I wouldn't be surprised if they just do them all. Because it doesn't seem like they're letting up.
When the Rey movie titled New Jedi Order comes out, they will do the New Jedi Order books.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, Brennan, because if they're really going to the trade paperback format and away from the mass market format, and that's going away and you're never going to see it again, they're going to have to shift. And it would make sense that they would eventually do everything, because why not, right? If they're all selling, I'm not sure how many people are going to want like a Ruins of Dantooine, but if they absolutely want a complete collection, they're going to have to print it in some form or fashion. So that's going to be the format going forward. I think Arthur Lowry is a moderator. I think he can block Matt Wilkins in the comments. So get on that, Arthur.
Arthur, go get him. Liam, Brady, y'all can close us out on Essential Legends Collection general thoughts.
I just the whole thing as a concept. I'm surprised that they're doing it because their whole thing is forget the old, forget the old, forget the old, take from the old, forget about it. But there's money in the old stuff. And so the fact that they renewed this and just didn't say, oh, it's out of print, or just the fact that they're doing like weird stuff and stuff that's like, I guess, not being like used a whole lot. Like the Thrawn trilogy, I would understand why they'd want to keep that in print. But like Knight Errant, if they forgot it, maybe because John Jackson Miller is still making books for them. But like some of the stuff, I'm like, why do we have this? But there's money there, and I guess that can be encouraging for us who want more.
That's very true.
And if they keep seeing profit from these, what's to say they don't just go, oh, hey, let's just throw another one out, and a new one and see what happens.
If there was a new EU book as an Essential Legends collection, I would buy the whole series to get the whole set. I might do that anyway if I get bored and have spare money eventually and nothing else to get. Man. But if it helps the profit, Scott, you've got to get on it too, man. Just buy the full Essential Legends collection series.
Well, now that you bring that up, I wonder if their original idea was just to reprint certain books like Darth Plagueis, the Thrawn trilogy, of course, the ones that really sell. And then as they continued, they figured, hey, these are really selling. These are selling just as good, if not better, than the original new canon books that were coming out. So why not keep the run going until they've actually finished? I know they're pretty close to finishing on the Epic Collections, the comic series that Marvel's doing. So I think Del Rey might have just said, hey, well, while it's working, we might as well keep it going.
I think they just finished the last Epic Collection. I think that's what.
I think that's the next one coming out.
Legacy. Or no, not Legacy, but it was the Invasion comics, I think.
Yes.
The Invasion is the final one. Have they shown the cover for it yet?
Yes.
They have. Okay. Is it
so.
New Republic Volume what? Is that Volume 6 or 7?
Is it 9?
8.
Yeah.
I think it's 8.
Okay.
Cool. They just made a post about it, and they were like, so glad that we could copy everything. And my response is, you missed a few. They missed the kids stuff. They missed not all the kids stuff.
We talked to, is it Mike Hansen? Is that his name? I think that is, of the guy who's putting them together. Okay. I talked to him personally at Legends Con, and he said he fought to try to get some of the ones that they didn't print done, but they just couldn't get the licenses for for some overseas stuff. Evasive Action, they couldn't get it. Dark Horse, through a loophole, still owns the rights to their digest comics.
Okay.
Marvel acquired, with the buyout, adult Star Wars comics printing access, and apparently, like how IDW took kids Star Wars comic publishing, Dark Horse apparently still was able to hold on to Clone Wars Adventures and like wouldn't let up about how they didn't negotiate that in the original contract. So Marvel's not able to reprint the digest comics that are billed as kids comics.
So we should just talk to Dark Horse because they can publish.
Dark Horse apparently can still publish them or reprint them if they wanted. So imagine if we get one of those old where is it on my
Dark Horse omnibuses?
Yeah, one of these old Dark Horse omnibuses here with a Legends banner. It would be interesting.
That would be strange to see.
I'm sure there's an issue in there. I'm sure if we complain enough about it, they'll change it, or we'll get an answer.
Yeah.
But I'd love to have those. I own them all in trades or
Yeah.
digest, but those I got lucky with those.
A lot of them are very expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
have a full set.
I wonder what the licensing is on that, because Dark Horse, obviously they don't own Star Wars. They just bought the rights to publish Star Wars.
Yeah.
So if they don't have the rights to publish Star Wars, but they somehow retain those Clone Wars adventures,
Kids
Do-
comics.
is it a matter of Marvel just doesn't have the rights to publish those, even though they have the rights to publish Star Wars comics in general?
I think
And then Dark Horse retain that, but they still don't have the rights to publish Star Wars. Maybe
I
that's
think that might be what the situation is, which leaves it in like a wastelands, because that means that these will just be out of print forever.
right.
It seemingly.
And how long is that contract? Because
Yeah.
it most likely has a term. So
Yeah.
never give up hope, because that
Right.
there could always be reprints in the future.
I think I don't know who the Dark Horse guy is, but
Well, I think Randy Stradley's not with Dark Horse anymore. I think he
okay.
might have retired. Not sure.
I don't believe he's with Dark Horse anymore either, but I think you're right on that. So Liam, your thoughts on the ELCs?
Well, I'm really hoping that one day Disney will realize that these are making money. These are the things that the fans want. Because I don't know how many more of these they're gonna do. I imagine they're just gonna keep doing it until they've pretty much reprinted everything. I'm hopeful. I'm very, very, very hopeful. That's pretty much all I got for wrapping up my thoughts. I just hope that they eventually see that Legends has some great stories too.
Yeah.
I think that's what the Delray guy said in some Twitter conversation a year or two ago when he was asked about the ELCs. I can't remember exactly what he said, and I'm not even sure what his name was. I'm sure someone can dig it up. But basically, he said something along the lines of, we really like those stories and we want to see them continue to be printed, which is more than people like Wizards of the Coast can say for the Forgotten Realms novels.
Yeah. It's interesting. I guess I'm thankful that they're trying to keep it on shelves. And but at the same time, I'm sad because the new format's more expensive, and I love my mass market paperbacks. They're just the best.
Mass market's my favorite size for any for like reading books.
Yeah.
There's something about are they called trade paperbacks?
Yeah.
They're really floppy and they're hard to hold in my hands. I love mass market so much. It's so much easier to read.
I totally agree.
Yeah, they're like the perfect size.
They're
Exactly.
You get a hardcover. It's either hardcover mass market paperback. I can't read on trade
I
paperbacks.
don't like the trade paperbacks. They're just not for me.
I'm still yearning for Supernatural Encounters in mass market paperback.
Oh boy.
That would be a huge mass market paperback. But I would love it. I'd buy a set.
It would have to be like the spine would have to be leather bound.
You'd have to split it up.
I don't think there's any other way.
What, 6 books?
Yeah, they'd have to make it a
or do
trilogy,
that.
perhaps. Yeah. 8-book collection. Yeah. I like
be
mass
awesome.
market paperbacks. So the ELCs is both sad but also hopeful for me, I think. In wrapping up my thoughts, sad that there doesn't seem to be a lot of effort on the covers. Sad that they're trending away from mass market paperbacks, the entire industry, because that's the end of a really cool era of book publishing in general in that size. But hopeful in that there's still an effort to get these stories to people and keep it in print. So while there's no new EU, at least Epics and the Essential Legends collection are keeping the stories circulating, not letting them die, not letting them stay as out of stock everywhere on the internet, to where you just have to get them all secondhand. That's been the fate of many book series eventually over time, which makes it inaccessible to get into when it costs you like $40 to get, a used book. So at least there is some effort to keep these stories circulating on shelves, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm very thankful that they can reach new fans. I'm not sure who's seeing Republic Commando 000 cover and saying, now that's the book that I'm going to get. But if there is that person, then I'm glad that you're here. And I hope that this can be a net positive. And as Brady and Liam suggest, maybe hopeful that they sell well enough to give Lucasfilm maybe a pause for consideration for how well the stories sell. So this may motivate me to go out and buy a full ELC set. Who knows?
I'll say the same for the Aspire remasters of the old EU video games onto different devices too.
Yeah.
Like I think the first Star Wars game I ever played was KOTOR, and that was on an iPad. And then same with KOTOR 2. I never played it on a PC or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are starting to get into a lot of these games just with Nintendos and other consoles.
Dark Forces,
So it's
Bounty
pretty nice.
Hunter recently.
Yeah.
It's been great. It's been great. Hopefully they continue to do all the games. So even though we don't have the EU, we're at a much better spot than we could be. We're getting lots of figures announced, lots of merch announced, and we're getting the Essential Legends collection are nice. It's nice to have all these books together. The omnibuses are nice. The books still being printed is good. It makes me feel like in reflection that we're not entirely forgotten, that they're making these stories be a game, comic, or book still accessible to people. And that's a net positive, despite feeling like the art is very sloppily thrown together in many cases. And next stream, we will be back for, I think it's video 5, where we'll be breaking down waves 11 and 12. So we'll have 6 covers for next time. I think that some comments got us a little sidetracked. And so probably future streams will be shorter than this. But I mean, we went on for 2 hours thanks to Matt Wilkins and his charming sense of humor. I'm just kidding. It's not all Matt's fault. Don't go get Matt. But thank you to everyone who joined in the comments. Thank you to all of you guys for your thoughts and your input into this stuff. Pico showed up. You guys were only 24 hours late. Crazy. Yeah, I forgot to move the stream schedule. But yeah. So yeah, see you later, Harry. See you guys later, and we'll see you guys next time. Is it ready to plug my website again? Go to theexpandeduniverse.com. We'll see you later when we get to waves 11 and 12 next time. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for coming on. We'll see you guys next time.